We love the Flash, and you should too. Today we're going to be talking about Zoom, seeing as he's going to be a key character during this season of The Flash. The character Zoom can be kind of confusing because they have used the same name for different characters. Eobard Thawne was known as Professor Zoom as well as Zoom and the Reverse Flash. And seeing as Eobard Thawne was the Reverse Flash in Season 1, and he saved Barry and Patty at the end of the last episode, we believe it could be Hunter Zolomon's Zoom. Hunter Zolomon grew up in a troubled relationship with his parents. When he was getting ready to head to college, he came home one day only to find his house being sieged. It turned out that his father was actually a serial killer, and his mother had called the police on him, ultimately getting herself killed. After the police tried to get his father to turn himself in, they ended up killing him because he refused to give himself up. This made Hunter obsessed with trying to understand the criminal mind, so he started to study psychology and criminology in college, and ended up joining the FBI with his then girlfriend Ashley, who would later become his wife. During his time with the FBI, Hunter made a huge mistake during a case that resulted in Ashley's father being killed. He believed that the criminal wasn't going to use a gun, and unfortunately he was wrong, and Ashley's father was shot because of it. This ended up costing him his marriage, his job, and he was even hurt in the process, leaving his knee damaged and forcing him to walk with a cane. Hunter moved to Keystone City, where he took a job as a profiler for the police in the Department of Metahuman Hostilities. Working in this department had him in constant contact with the current Flash of the time, Wally West. The two of them ended up becoming very good friends because of this, even helping the Flash solve a number of cases even though he was stuck behind a desk the whole time. When Hunter was doing work at Iron Heights, a maximum security prison located about 3 miles north of Keystone City and home to some of the Flash's villains, Hunter ended up being paralyzed from the waist down during an attack by Gorilla Grodd. Hunter asked Wally to use the cosmic treadmill that was in the Flash Museum to prevent this from happening. Wally had to refuse because he knew he couldn't risk damaging the time stream. So instead, Hunter broke in and used it himself. Instead, he destroyed the museum and shifted his own connection to time, giving him the ability to alter his personal time frame, which gave him the effects of super speed. After this, even he decided that it was his responsibility to help Wally West become the hero he was supposed to be. So he became Zoom and killed Wally's wife because he believed that West had to suffer a personal tragedy to become a true hero. Zoom and the Flash end up fighting, and the Flash does win, saving his wife, but at the cost of his wife miscarrying their twin children. After the fight, Zoom ended up stuck in a temporal anomaly, and ended up in a comatose state where he was forced to continually watch the death of his father-in-law, only to awaken from it when his ex-wife Ashley was hospitalized for some time due to a car accident. He chose to remain in his cell until Cheetah broke him out to induct him into the secret society of supervillains. During the Rogue War between Captain Cold's rogues, the Trickster's reformed rogues, and the Top's brainwashed rogues, Zoom jumped in to dispatch Captain Cold because he claimed that the man who mastered Absolute Zero was a waste of the Flash's time. Flash and Kid Flash showed up to attempt to contain the battle, but Zoom grabbed Kid Flash by the neck and threatened to snap it the way Barry Allen had done to Professor Zoom. At that moment though, Professor Zoom actually shows up on a cosmic treadmill with Jay Garrick chained to the front of him, and the two Zooms and the two Flashes and Kid Flash end up in a fight where the Zooms manage to prevail. Zoom and Professor Zoom then take Wally West's Flash onto the treadmill and force him to watch the very first fight between Zoom and Flash, where West's wife was injured and miscarried. When they were getting ready to make Wally watch it again, Barry Allen shows up on his own treadmill looking for Professor Zoom. He saves Wally and tells him that no matter how bad it seemed, he could win the fight. All he had to do was push himself a little bit. Zoom was furious now and started to run around the world to build up the speed he needed to kill Wally's wife. Wally then understood what Barry was trying to tell him when he couldn't catch up to Zoom. So he pushed himself and caught up to Zoom, hitting him in the back, and Zoom ended up falling in the sonic boom, which he himself was planning to use to kill Linda's babies. Zoom ran for the treadmill only to be stopped by Flash, where they went back to the present. Zoom then saw the scenes from his life and realized his mistreatment of Wally, and so he apologized and slipped into the time stream. and this ended his largest storyline of Zoom. He shows up during the Infinite Crisis event as the Secret Society of Supervillains Chief Speedster, where he was a part of the strike force that massacred the Freedom Fighters. Zoom appears during the 1 year later event in Rome, where Bart Allen's grandmother is asking him to help protect Bart. The Justice League is also looking for him to try and locate Sinestro, as well as being pursued by the Justice Society of America into Atlanta, where Damage is seeking revenge for what Zoom did to him during the Infinite Crisis. Zoom was disappointed how Damage hasn't improved since the last meeting, and throws a pipe at him in an attempt to kill him. Liberty Bell steps in and catches the pipe and throws it back, knocking Zoom unconscious. During the Final Crisis Rogue's Revenge storyline, we see Zoom freeze Inertia in an attempt to make him the new Kid Flash. He teaches him how to improve his life and the ones of others by inflicting tragedies. Inertia learns these lessons too well and declares himself Kid Zoom, the new master of tragedies, and uses the time stream manipulation powers he was granted by Zoom against Zoom himself and reverts him back to the crippled body of Hunter Zolomon. Zoom's powers are a little different than most speedsters. He actually has the power to alter time relative to himself and doesn't use the Speed Force. He can move at speeds rivaling Wally West, who is the fastest Flash, and can actually sometimes be faster than him. He also has the power to create sonic booms and shock waves with just the snap of his fingers. So we know Wally West is going to be joining the show as well, and Hunter Zolomon Zoom is the reversed Flash of the Wally West Flash run. Will this be the Zoom that we're seeing in the show, or will it be a different Zoom? Leave your thoughts down below. I'm Dan with CTV, and I'll see you guys next time.